Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled in the heart of China, there lived a humble farmer. He wasn't wealthy, nor did he seek great ambitions. He simply tilled his land, cared for his animals, and lived a life of simple routines and honest work. Among all his possessions, his greatest treasure was his loyal horse, which not only helped him with the heavy burden of farming, but also symbolized a deep connection between man and nature. One fateful morning, the farmer awoke to discover that his beloved horse had escaped. It was nowhere to be found. Alarmed by the news, the villagers flocked to his home, their faces painted with concern. "What a terrible thing to happen to you," one neighbor exclaimed. "Yes, such bad luck," another chimed in. But the farmer, his demeanor calm and his eyes steady, simply replied, "I don't know if it's a terrible thing, we'll see. The villagers, puzzled by his response, whispered among themselves as they left. They couldn't fathom how the farmer could remain so composed in the face of what they believed was a great misfortune. The very next day, to everyone's surprise, the horse returned. But it didn't come back alone. It brought with it a wild stallion, strong and untamed. The villagers, astonished by this turn of events, rushed to the farmer once again. "This is incredible, what a blessing," they cheered. But the farmer, still calm and measured, responded, "I don't know if it's a blessing, we'll see. The villagers, once again baffled by his perspective, shook their heads and went on their way. The fall of fortune. As the days passed, the farmer's son, a spirited young man, decided to tame the wild stallion. He climbed onto its back, holding tightly as the horse bucked and kicked in resistance. Then, with a sudden and violent jolt, the stallion threw him off. The son landed hard on the ground, breaking his back. When the villagers heard the news, they hurried to the farmer's house with heavy hearts. What terrible luck, they mourned. If only the horse had never come back. But the farmer, unshaken, replied, "I don't know if it's terrible luck, we'll see. His words left the villagers more perplexed than ever. How could he remain so neutral in the face of his son's injury, a tragedy that would surely affect their family's livelihood? The unexpected twist. Not long after, the tranquility of the village was disrupted by the arrival of soldiers. The nation was on the brink of war with the Mongolians, and the army was conscripting every able-bodied young man under the age of 25. As the soldiers inspected the village, the farmer's son was passed over because of his injury. When the villagers realized this, they once again gathered around the farmer, their voices filled with relief. "What a blessing," they cried. "Your son was spared from the horrors of war." But the farmer, his expression as steady as ever, replied, "I don't know if it's a blessing, we'll see. The wisdom of acceptance. Over time, the villagers began to see the farmer in a new light. His responses, once dismissed as puzzling or indifferent, now seemed to carry a profound wisdom. Life, they realized, was a series of unpredictable events. What seemed like a blessing today could lead to misfortune tomorrow, and what felt like a curse could pave the way for unforeseen opportunities. The farmer's story became a beacon of balance and acceptance for the villagers. They began to understand that life's ups and downs weren't inherently good or bad, they were simply parts of the journey. Reflection and legacy. The farmer's ability to stay present and resist the urge to label events as good or bad allowed him to navigate life with grace and resilience. His philosophy echoed the timeless truth that we often lack the perspective to judge the full scope of an event. Years later, when the farmer had grown old and the village had changed, his story lived on. Parents told it to their children, travelers carried it to distant lands, and scholars wrote about it in their books. It became a reminder to approach life with patience, humility, and an open heart. And so, the tale of the Chinese farmer became more than just a story. It became a way of life. Moral of the story: life is a series of unpredictable events, each connected in ways we may never fully understand. By embracing acceptance and letting go of judgment, we can find peace in the uncertainty of the journey. The story of the Chinese farmer offers a timeless lesson on the unpredictability of life and the power of perspective. In the narrative, the farmer's response to both fortune and misfortune, we'll see, reflects a deeper understanding that events unfold with their own timing, and it is often too early to judge their ultimate impact. In real life, this type of story resonates deeply with how we navigate the challenges, setbacks, and unexpected victories that come our way. In today's world, where we are constantly bombarded with the need for quick judgments and immediate conclusions, the farmer's philosophy offers a much-needed antidote. Our society often teaches us to categorize experiences quickly: what's good, what's bad, and what's worth celebrating. Yet, life rarely follows such neat lines. The farmer's wisdom teaches us that the outcomes of our actions and circumstances are often not immediately clear, and what seems like a misfortune today may turn into a blessing tomorrow. Take, for instance, the journey of entrepreneurs. entrepreneurs face constant hurdles from financial struggles to unexpected setbacks. Many start their ventures with big dreams, only to find that things don't always go according to plan. There are failures, rejections, and moments where it seems that their efforts will never bear fruit. However, just as the farmer couldn't have predicted that the horse's escape would bring back an untamed stallion, an entrepreneur's failure today may be the stepping stone to success tomorrow. Many entrepreneurs cite moments of struggle as crucial turning points, times when a failure or rejection led to the development of a new idea, a pivot in business strategy, or the discovery of a market they hadn't initially considered. For example, Steve Jobs was famously ousted from Apple, the company he founded, only to return years later and turn the company into one of the most valuable in the world. The time away gave him the perspective and clarity he needed to redefine Apple's products and mission. If Jobs had judged his expulsion as the end of his story, he might never have had the chance to lead Apple to greater heights. Instead, he allowed himself to step back, reflect, and remain open to the possibility that what seemed like a misfortune at the time was, in fact, an essential chapter in his journey. Similarly, in personal life, the story of the Chinese farmer reflects how we handle relationships, health, and the unexpected challenges we face. People often view the ending of a relationship or the loss of a job as catastrophic events. Yet with time, many find that these experiences are not as devastating as they first appeared. Sometimes they lead to the discovery of new passions, the meeting of new people, or the opportunity to build a more fulfilling life. Consider someone who loses their job unexpectedly. Initially, they may see it as a terrible blow, especially if it comes at a time when they feel financially or emotionally vulnerable. But as time passes, they may find that the loss of their job opened up space for them to pursue a long-forgotten dream, start a new business, or even find a career path that better aligns with their passions and values. In these instances, it's clear that life's challenges are not always as they first appear. This philosophy also holds true in dealing with health crises. When faced with illness or injury, it's easy to feel despair and frustration. However, there are countless stories of individuals who, after overcoming health challenges, find a deeper sense of purpose, strength, or connection to others. For instance, someone recovering from a serious illness might take up a new hobby, become more involved in charity work, or change their lifestyle in ways that improve their overall well-being. In these cases, the initial misfortune may eventually lead to growth, understanding, and transformation. The key to this type of story is learning to let go of the need for immediate answers and embracing the unknown. The farmer doesn't judge the events of his life as good or bad, he simply allows them to unfold. In the same way, in real life, if we allow ourselves to experience events without the pressure to immediately assign labels, we may find that they take on new meaning over time. We can avoid the trap of seeing setbacks as failures because often the lessons learned in challenging times are what pave the way for future success. Ultimately, the story of the Chinese farmer speaks to the value of resilience, patience, and perspective. It encourages us to trust in the unfolding of life and to accept that we often cannot see the full picture in the moment. Life in all its complexity is a journey full of unexpected twists and turns. And much like the farmer who stays grounded and open to the possibilities of tomorrow, we can navigate our own lives with grace and resilience, choosing to wait and see how each experience, whether perceived as good or bad, will ultimately contribute to the unfolding of our own story.